Hello there, and welcome back to Corey Loses, where today we are once again continuing our Thrawn's Revenge 3.3 preview playthrough as the Galactic Empire. In the last episode, we got to Zsinj's doorstep, which we're gonna attack him. We're just gonna let this Salagas probe droid finish building, and I'm going to use my powers of foresight to move away from Sifric, and no one's gonna know what's going on there. I think we also want to queue up this station, so nothing bad happened, and we're just going with that. I mean, I could do this the risky way and just send stuff in. Oh, you know what? I could try to infiltrate Dathomir. If they have a ground-to-space cannon, I'll do that. If they don't have a ground-to-space cannon, we're just going in. But tonight we're going to be recording 2 different episodes of the Imperial playthrough here. Hold on. Frost, you want to come over here so we can get some those golden discounts. I don't like that we lost Sifcree, but it'll be fine. So this one will be done in a couple seconds, and then it's time to kill Zsinj. He'll be dead. It'll be time for us to move on to our next target after that. Hopefully, if we take Dathomir, the rest of Zsinj's empire will start falling apart a little bit more. CSA just conquered Mario. Was that from Zsinj? I think it must have been. It definitely wasn't from from Druid. So if they could come into there a little bit, that'd be cool. Let's check out what's going on, and then we're gonna be ready. Okay, we're not going to be ready for that yet. Do we have the means to defend this? Probably not. I don't want to lose Ubrikia. But we can't... If we can't defend it, then fine. But we have a good amount of money. We might be able to pull this off. I can't remember if the civilians here... Yeah, the civilians are going to be on their side, which is not good for us. Alright, let's see if we can just run down to some of these other landing zones then. AA turrets. I'm not going to get that one as an AA turret. I'm going to get over to those landing zones. Alright. Well, civilians are going to be... Or, sorry, the militia are going to be a bit of a problem. We should be able to get there within a reasonable amount of time. We also have a ton of build pads we could possibly go for. I mean, as far as the infantry go, the scout bikes are pretty good. It's just everything else that's more difficult. Here, nope. Take out those, so they can't get it. Alright, another field base. And get back here for more turrets. It's a corrupt Lua variable fixed by uninstalling the main slide. I don't know what you mean by a corrupt Lua variable there. Okay. Well, we got that field base. Can I hold on this? We might not be able to hold on to this. Yep, here comes more of them. At least they don't have 2 landing zones. Doesn't matter. Yeah, we weren't going to be able to get too far there. I might have been able to turn it into a more difficult assault for them coming through the main base, but they were going pretty fast on that. System lost. Alright, that cuts off our territory again, but I think we want to set up Emberline to hold some of those bits of territory. Frost isn't in yet. We have the probe droid going in. Okay, let's just focus on the nice, fun... Hold on. Okay, they are there. Only 149, but it's also Rancor base. So... we might not need all 500 pop cap we're going with here. But... I want to make sure we don't waste any of our anti-fighter. But I do want to bring them into the battle. I normally leave the Pathfinder way back, but there's no... There's no ground-to-space cannon. We could raid the planet and destroy the stations that way. How's it 149 with Zsinj? I don't think they actually upgraded him to... Yeah, they didn't upgrade him to Iron Fist, like the main Iron Fist. I don't know if they had the resources to, or if Bob just hasn't done the... added those to the upgrade budgets. It's probably the latter. But that makes our lives easier. If it was actual Iron Fist, then... we'd probably want to raid the ground and get rid of the station.
We've located the enemy.
So none of the free SSDs are going to be free SSDs anymore.
Choose your reinforcements.
You have to generally upgrade to them. Alright, Rocky Road. Corey's flagship. He's in Tonfalk Escort. EHC. Okay, there we go. Just wanted Thrawn. And I want the fighters. On Hallowed Wings. Light Show. And get IPV. Nah, I see you. Get him. How would that work with Isard? The same way as it works with everyone else. You will start as an admin hero, and then you can upgrade her to Lusenkia. Like, whenever we've announced that, the response is, oh, but Zsinj is going to be screwed because that's all he has. But the problem was we couldn't give them anything else because they have a starting SSD. So without all their forces concentrated into a single ship, we have more room to give them other starting forces, and then it's more viable for them to survive longer. Because if all of Zinj's power is on Zsinj himself, piled onto Dathomir, with a whole SSD there, the SSD can only be in one place at one time. And they end up, that's why Zsinj ends up getting eaten away to the end of the game. Like, we made the same change to the Pentastar alignment years ago when we took Reaper and Kane away from being starting spawns, and the end result was a much healthier Pentastar alignment. So before anyone gets too worried that it's going to be gone, keep in mind it is so that it can be set up properly elsewhere. Like, an SSD should also be something you work towards in the game rather than just a thing you start with. Because especially on lower difficulties, it can make it much easier to just take that one starting ship and then roll over the kind of fleets you're likely to see if you're only on, like, especially easy or medium. It's too much power in one thing right off the bat. It makes it very difficult to set up the rest of the game around it. We're actually not doing super well with the shields on this Praetor, Admiral Rocky Road.
The lasers are our target. Weapon online. Getting a lock. Our target priority is the laser cannons. Orders, sir.
How are our fighters doing back near the ships? They're okay. Okay, let's try to get in there. This is really gonna just shut down Zinj's legitimacy. They might actually be at 0 after the amount of stuff that's gonna die here, considering how few planets are left and everything.
Stay in formation.
I think we wanna Try to pull these fighters and bombers back a little bit until we've actually taken care of the ships. Turn. No, no, oh no, not that way. Turn this way.
Awaiting command.
Taking fire.
Heavy cruiser stepping by.
Commander. Get behind them.
Joshi? Yes, that's his name. I'm great. I actually remember things names.
Thrawn reporting. Weapons ready.
There's a lot of CR90s around here that we need to
Where'd he go?
Do you have something to report?
kill those off.
Reporting in.
Come on in. They'll still have a few ships coming out of both the
Have them now.
main fleet from the heroes and then also from Rancor base. Bridget down.
Open.
There's Joshi down.
Bomber squadron reporting. Nowhere to run.
Direct fire on the
Falling out of formation.
Fire at will. Roger that.
Can I close anything else? For whatever reason, like from play session to play session, I've been getting lag in EaW in situations that I wouldn't otherwise. And I've had a bunch of like freezing in Premiere. I'm very annoyed at my computer right now.
Intercepting.
What is it you want? Destroyer here. Attacking target.
Closing on target.
Moving to coordinates.
Will the AI be trained to use infiltrator units? I assume you're asking about whether they'll use like units with the galactic stealth to attack planets. If that's what you mean, then that is not likely to be a thing we make the AI do.
Our target priority
Ready
is
for
the
the
laser.
kill.
Excellent shot. Copy.
At least not as a standard thing.
I got
I want shields back. Give me shields back.
I copy.
I already have a plan. Ready for command, sir.
We got Thrawn with a nice missile boat.
Nice one.
They're all welcomed home. I don't want to go up to this station until we have more shields.
Intercepting.
Reporting. Fire at will.
Locking on.
Will the select AI be able to use capture shuttles? No. The AI can sometimes accidentally steal stuff with Farrier,
I have
but
calculated the possibilities.
it's not a thing that we want them to try to do. Because it ultimately wouldn't work out very much or very often for them. It'd just be a lot of expensive ships they're buying that they're not ever able
After the stragglers.
to use very well.
Star cruiser standing by.
Like, that level of micro and that level... Like, when you're trying to do battles for boarding, you're really supposed to be playing around that, and it requires a lot more micro.
Orders.
The AI wouldn't be able to do that, and the player would be much better at stopping that from working. So it's not really a thing that's ever going to be a particularly viable AI strategy, and it's not something we ever plan to like build a faction around either. So it's not worth it.
Waiting.
Our target priority is the laser.
Like if you play against the Empire when they have Niles Farrier,
Pursuing enemy.
they will sometimes do it, but they think they're just using spoiler lock. So it is entirely accidental for them to do.
Awaiting orders.
Taking fire.
Choose your position wisely.
Yeah, losing shuttles in auto resolve is also it'd just turn into a 10,000 credit sink for them because they can only use it against the player. The AI is obviously not like on the galactic map directly playing out battles, so their opportunities to use it are solely against the player.
Warm up. Enemies incoming. Waiting orders.
I'm on. You are in need
For some reason, it surprises some people when they hear the AI doesn't actually do the battles against each other. I'm not sure what they think is happening. If it's like a separate dimension that the AI goes into and fights the battles while you're on the galactic map.
Attacking primary target.
Like, to a certain extent, obviously, a lot of people just don't really think about it that much. But you'd think once it's pointed out to them, they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Priority target.
But there's some people for whom it's just like, well, why not? What are they doing?
They will be destroyed.
Okay, we're getting a lot of bombers in this group here. So my hope of getting shields back is not gonna be... Yeah, it's not happening. How's our pop cap? We actually did lose something. I'm not sure what. But we'll bring in Corey Starhammer back here. Do we have any more anti-fighter we can bring in? We have a Raider 1. Let's do that. And we'll bring in that guy. Okay, bombers, don't worry about that. I do want you to kind of worry about that, because I want you to be around when we take on the station.
Ready. I'm on them. Cruiser reporting. Take out the iron cannons. Gunship reporting.
Yeah, those are just ion cannons.
Attacking primary target.
This...
Get behind
The Praetor is starting to... Okay, no, that's actually shooting the VST. I thought the Praetor was starting to attack the fighters more.
Frequency open.
them now.
Did we lose one of these hard points? No.
Ready to receive orders.
Okay, I think we can start moving up the fighters and bombers a little bit more soon. Tomb Raider's asking, did you talk about canceled games in the Star Wars games tier list? No. That podcast went really long, even with just the ones that we covered. So there were some questions submitted with it about canceled games, but we didn't get to it on the actual episode. Like, we try to keep the Tab Cap episodes to about an hour and 10 minutes, and that one got up to like nearly 2 hours. Because normally we have a stream afterwards. But we're going to be doing another video game centric episode in the hopefully near future, and hopefully with a guest who me and Ek are both really excited about. But we should be able to get around to more discussion of canceled stuff then as well. The shields are just like barely hanging on this guy.
Yes, Commander. Order confirmed.
You have need of my skills.
Okay, now we can just focus on the Corvettes.
Away go after the stragglers.
Wait, no, what are you doing? Get out of there. Don't want to just do a solo assault on the station. Alright, there's the final round of the Rancor base units, I think.
I've got them in my sights. Target locked.
Okay, that's all coming out. This Venator can probably just stay back at this point.
Is about to be destroyed.
You don't want to move too far up either.
Coming around.
So yeah, as far as the like SSD stuff for starting units, we're trying to move a little bit away from...
Stepping by.
we're trying to like beef up some of the starting infrastructure for like defensive structures in particular, and reduce some of the starting forces overall. There's a bit more customization in your early fleets, a bit more reactivity, and it'll also help some of the players who feel overwhelmed at the start of the game as well, where particularly on earlier or easier difficulties, there's going to be less of a situation where the AI is able to pile together all their units right away and attack, which is often what scares some of the newer players away. Like, even if they can't, even if the AI can't like keep up a sustained assault because they can only put together one fleet, then newer players aren't really going to realize that as much. Like, even if they're on easy and they're like that's going to be all they see, then it can still be a bit daunting. So when you're on Cruel, for example, which a lot of the more experienced players tend to be, then the build bonuses on both credits and build time will tend to be enough that
They will be destroyed.
it wouldn't impact the overall setup of forces for that long, but it gives a little bit more of a setup phase before getting to some of the bigger battles. And having as many starting SSDs as it was possible to have around is not super conducive to that. Infoben has been asking, has anything changed to Era 4 Dark Empire in this version of TR? Yeah, we've announced a lot of that in this playthrough, aside from like specific unit changes and that kind of thing. We haven't announced or shown off too much just yet. But throughout this playthrough, I've kind of explained the different way that Dark Empire works now, where it's part of legitimacy, and any of the factions can work toward it. So if you check out some of the earlier episodes in the campaign, I've done a relatively in-depth explanation of it as we try to work towards Dark Empire ourselves. That ISD is going to be a problem. Was it 2 and 2? I think it was. Yeah, 2 and 2. So that's a little bit scary as we are still getting up to the station here. Well, that VSD is going to be dead. Andrew's asking, will World Devastators ever be coming back? Yep. Like we said when we removed them, we do plan to re-add them. We just have to work on the abilities and the art updates. Like, EaW is tricky because you can't actually do much with abilities. Like, they're not the most flexible compared to a game like Zsinj of the Solar Empire, where you can do basically whatever you want with them. So that makes it a bit more difficult and require a bit more in-depth scripting if you want to do anything. And for the last few releases, the scripting focus has been more on the framework as well as government mechanics. But since this release has a focus on getting Dark Empire set up more broadly, then it is also the release where we're going to be working to put back Dark Empire, or back the World Devastators.
Attacking primary target. Form up. Attack that target. Captain here.
Alright, I think we need power weapons on there. We're still at max pop cap. Tiger is asking, it was interesting to see a Zsinj remnant in Era 4 and our start. Was the justification for that? That was just an error in the starting forces for it. There are certain situations where, like, after the Warlord has died, there were still straggler forces aligned with factions, but that's not what that one was. That was just... I think those planets were supposed to be Empire aligned, and the starting forces that were imported for it were wrong. Because the way we do the starting forces for the Progressive Galactic Conquest is we have a huge spreadsheet of them, and that way, since there's 42 maps, we import from that, and that's how the XML files are built, rather than trying to manually edit them everywhere. So we're still in the middle of setting up all those libraries while we redo all the Galactic Conquests. So a lot of the things that you see as the actual starting forces in this Galactic Conquest and the New Republic one are still going to be off from what the final state is. And you can already see some of the changes between them from just this playthrough to the New Republic one, where like hut space being controlled by the hut units in the New Republic playthrough versus independent forces in this one. We've been pretty quickly going through a lot of it. but it is not quite there yet.
Let's finish him.
Are we still good on top cap? Yeah, we're 300 out of 300 still. Nothing has died. This Venator is looking rough.
Dreadnought cruiser
We
ready.
only get 2 of them. I'm gonna see if I can move that out of there. Because we're not getting a replacement. We might need to
Be destroyed.
guarantee some
Reporting.
cover for it. Stop this VSD from living. Alright, that's actually making it in pretty well. Alright. Hero fighter, get in there. Which one are you? Reb.
Awaiting your command. Your command, sir. Attack that target.
And
Attack.
What is your analysis?
now let's get in there. Is there a downside to Art of War? No. Usually the other ones have
Awaiting instruction.
more of a downside. Probably should have popped that earlier then.
Ion cannon reporting in. Attacking target.
Targeting their weapon systems. Stepping by.
Cannon
Thrawn special. Okay, you really need to turn the other way. At this point, you're just taking damage that you don't need to be taking. Well,
Yes, Commander.
you could be
The missile launchers are the primary target.
killing that, at least killing the golem too.
Yes, Commander.
Direct fire at their laser.
We might actually be able to get it to focus down the golem.
Eliminating a target.
Let's get some of these bombers in there.
Awaiting orders. Returning to your position. Have them now.
You get away from that CR-90. Nope, what are you doing? Do the turn, don't do the...
I'll take care
Don't do the attack order then.
Attacking.
I think we've actually killed most of the hard points that are facing us on the Valaducia.
Choose your position.
And alright. That Venator is still good. Still out.
Priority is the laser cannons. Cruiser here. Concentrating fire.
Frequency open.
I know what I said before the battle started, we're not going to talk about it.
Destroyer.
How about that? That poor Lancer.
Batteries online. Direct fire at their laser cannon.
Priority target identified.
So, so what I've been trying to do the last few weeks is I'll work on the clips for the Clips channel on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I got all the clips I needed for the week at first to have one a day done today, but I accidentally exported all of them as MP3 files, which is not good. As believe it or not, I actually need video. And the way I edit them, I have one project file that I use. So I now have to re-edit all the ones that I did other than the last one. So I'm not happy about that. So that's kind of sad. Alright, now we can get up
He's headed your direction.
to the station.
Do you have something to report?
Copy. Enemies in range.
I was already feeling like I didn't get enough done today, and then I noticed I did that when I went to upload them, and it was not a happy moment.
Standing by. Ready.
Star destroyer.
This should be a huge help in our
Narrowing position.
goal of
Calculating attack.
integrating Zsinj, though.
Ready for the kill.
The lasers are our target.
Excellent shot.
Yes, sir.
You have need of my skills? Under control. I see.
No healing yourself. You're just gonna die. There you go. Enjoy being dead.
Initiating attack. Yes, Commander.
I think between Thrawn and Ori's flagship, we should be able to
To the possibility.
take this down. I don't think we need to bring too much more over,
Your command.
though Starhammer
Those missile launchers.
is actually free.
Dreadnought cruiser ready.
You guys come up.
Escort carrier standing by.
I am available.
They lived.
Awaiting your orders.
What is your analysis?
Awaiting your
Don't quite
command.
have the cooldown on that up yet.
Ready for battle.
There you go.
Form up. Moving out.
We can bring the Venators in too. Well, one of them. This one's kind of rough.
Choose your position wisely.
Intercepting.
Our target priority is the laser cannon.
They will be destroyed.
Reporting
expertise.
in. Target those lasers.
Alright. Now just a couple hard points left. There we go.
Falling out of formation.
No, I didn't unlock the Executor yet. I figured we'd probably end up saving up the credits in this one, and then I'd unlock it for the next one, hoping that we'd be getting to Dark Empire again, but on Hallowed Wings, rip. I know I keep hoping for that, but I'll definitely unlock it either way next time. I was just hoping we'd be able to get there and I could say, oh, this is going to be our stand-in for the Sovereign for this one. But that might be a little too optimistic still. It's only about 2 weeks worth of credits, 3 weeks worth of credits. We do have a few structures that we're probably going to be building up as well.
Invasion commencing.
Alright. I really should have saved there. I don't know why I didn't save there. I'm gonna regret this.
Yes, Commander.
Choose your reinforcements. Reinforcements en route. Reinforcements en route.
Moving to
Alright.
coordinates, sir.
I don't think it's a huge garrison. Like, Zsinj doesn't have the ground capital like everyone else has. Instead, he has a space-based capital where he gets all those garrisons from.
Blast them. Standing by. Scouting location.
Assisting with suppressing fire.
Alright, if we have the IDT just harassing the base a bit, then that actually makes it a bit easier for us to move on the front here.
Standing by.
So,
Ready, sir. Copy.
might be the best to just keep everything back here.
Going in. Ground target.
I should have brought in the artillery on the... Oh crap, on the second landing zone. Okay, you guys don't want to be over here. At least this one stays out of range.
Roger that. Right away.
See if you can get over to the other side of the map and just protect from anything coming that way. Alright, Sabayoth, ETSTs, those guys, and Cobble. Oh. That's also not great.
Let's move out. Let's go.
Ready.
Form up. Keep going.
Reporting.
How far out will you need to be? I can probably land it here. There's just a happy little Rancor back there. Stop saying weeks. I mean, technically I do, but you can just multiply the number of weeks that I'm saying by 4, and it still counts. Hey, Shadow. Mr. Grey Hat is asking, when are we getting the Bong in front of it? It'll still be quite some time before they're playable. It might be within the next... Not in point 3, but like maybe in point 4 you'll start seeing some of their units turn up. As a non-playable faction.
Form up. Target confirmed.
Alright. These anti-vehicle units or the heavy anti-infantry units are probably going to be able to kill Gazirian.
Ready. Order.
You can fly up a little, or walk up a little bit more. Did I lose the IDT? No. Oh, Pavel, in there.
Problems. Artillery online.
still running around in there? She is. Oh, crap.
Bomber squadron reporting. Attack.
On that. Getting shot at by the turret isn't helping my... Okay, I think we need to just take down that turret first. Take down all these turrets first. But none of you want to be in here. This is a bad place for all of you.
Standing by.
I copy.
You... There we go. Okay. Now Cobble shouldn't die. I've been kind of just letting Joris do whatever he wants. Which he usually is good at.
Yes.
Ooh. That IDT needs to get back home. Okay, get them in. Thanks, Mr. Grey Hat. Nope, you guys want to get out of there.
Waiting orders.
And how are we in the base? Not actually great. I don't want her to be able to come and lightsaber my AT-AT to death. Like, the next faction that we have in will almost certainly be the Hutts. As far as, like, playable factions go. The Hutts and the Chiss are the most likely to be ready first. The Vong are nice because we can kind of, like, put them in piece by piece as it makes sense. Stuff gets done. Because they'll start off as, like, a non-playable invasion event situation. And we can come on from there. Alright. He should be good on that.
Reporting. Advance. Bombardment canceled.
Copy.
There's still an AA turret somewhere around here that I'm kind of worried about, so I don't want to go in too far with anything else.
Armed and ready. Destination set. Target acquired.
You got those.
Order acknowledged.
So it's probably just the other side of the map here, if there's going to be anything left.
Sweet.
Keep res. The Hutts, we're going to have a few units in the next build. Sky has done basically their whole roster, though. So we just don't want to try to do all the map stuff and then also do another playable faction on top of that when we still got, like we just did the Haven's last release. Not too bad, you. Hey. That Stormtrooper is Han Solo. Alright, I'm going to save here and we'll end the episode there. We're going to do at least one more here, but I am going to be back in a minute or two for those of you on Twitch. By the way, thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.